raspberry. There's only one man who would dare give me the raspberry.
Well, hello there. This is not a video I thought I was going to make right now, but it is what it is. So I went through a whole thing here about 3 months ago, where I tried to buy a Raspberry Pi, and actually it was more than that ago. It was probably like a year ago. Anyway, I went through a whole fiasco. It never made the channel. The Raspberry Pi died in like 2 days, and I just didn't want to cover a product that was that crappy. And so I had just about written it off. I still wanted a Raspberry Pi because there's tons of things you can do with a Raspberry Pi. That's just cool. And well, for what it's worth, I still kept it on the back burner that I was going to do that. And then I just never did. What I have here for you today is I am recording my entire workflow here on a Raspberry Pi. This is a 16 gigabyte Pi5 that I picked up at Micro Center. Now I want it to be clear, this Pi was bought at Micro Center. I originally bought a Pi Iron Man case for it, and I'll kind of explain that here in a second. That case broke, and so I returned it, and then my wife found this Desk Pi case. It's called, I think I still got the manual here. It's a Desk Pi Lite. Pretty plain looking case, but it gets the job done very well. I'm amazed right now that I am recording a video. I'm recording my desktop. OBS does exist on Raspberry Pi. I just can't record the desktop with OBS for some reason. I'm guessing it's missing the desktop portal. If I look into it later and I figure it out, I will. But for now, I don't want to mess anything up. Because this machine, as we're going to talk about, is not really for general desktop compute. In fact, me recording things like this on it might be a one-time thing. It probably won't. I'll probably talk about different Pi-related OSs and stuff that you can install. These things are just cool. I've always wanted one. I had one here. Pi3 was given to me for free. This thing still technically works, but the micro USB port is broken. The plastic is broken inside it. And this case also is cracking and whatnot from the heat from the Pi. But I was messing with this for my 3D printer. Ended up, this thing started having issues getting power. Stopped being able to print to my 3D printer. So now the mini PC that I was given originally is back to its job. So we'll get this fixed eventually, but I bought this Pi5 to do a few things. Number one was I just want to play with a Raspberry Pi. I don't think that's unfair, and I think I'm well in the good for just wanting to play with it. I want to say out the door, this thing was like $160 or so, $170. With everything, it's more like $250, so take that for what you will. For what it is, it's a little expensive, and some of that's memory and that shortages and stuff right now. You can get a much more powerful Geekom. In fact, they had a Geekom there that was a Ryzen 5 for like $400. So for $100 extra after I spent all this money, I could have had a Geekom, but it wouldn't be this fun. And that's the key here. This is fun, and that's why I'm into it. Now, what you're seeing right now, well, the Raspberry Pi OS. So what I've done with this Desk Pi case is there is an SD card that I can use. I'm going to close this so I don't lose all my SD cards, but there are SD cards you can boot off of and have fun with. And I think for general deploying stuff to another Pi, I will 100% do this, because you can do all your development on an SD card on this thing, pop it out, go stick it in another Pi. Doesn't care. And that's what I'm going to do. My eventual goal is to move some of our home automation onto a Raspberry Pi. Rather than one server manages everything, I'd like to expand a little bit. I think my TrueNAS setup does about as much as I want it to do. You know, it does the Jellyfin, it does NAS server things, it does ZFS snapshots for data redundancy, and then it does backups to a Synology NAS. Those two things do everything I want them to do, and I would like the Synology to do stuff more automatically. I'm working on that. I'm not a professional. But I can tell you that I have this Pi with this case. SD card's right here. It's not booted off an SD card. It's booted off an NVMe drive. The long and the short of it is this whole saga started because of one PC. The short of it is this was the mini PC I was using to do most of this little bit of dev work that I was doing. And by dev work, I am no programmer. Genuinely, all I do every day, or not even every day, but when I get around to it, is maintain my personal code repo. I have a Forge Joe instance on my server that I then push to Codeberg. I just do it here so I can commit locally, and then that server can just push up, and then it's not a big deal. And it only goes one way. For you people try to commit bad code to my Codeberg repo, that's not how this is going to work.
Got it. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're welcome to put in pull requests or suggestions and stuff, and I'll work on it. And yada, yada, yada. But this mini PC was handling all of that. What happened here, this thing had a bit of a rough transit to me, so I traded Nate for some stuff. This little thing basically is responsible for the last of my DVD library being on Jellyfin. This thing served me reliably for that. I started having issues with the BIOS. I updated the BIOS. I started having posting problems, but it was mostly working sometimes. So I would get it going, and then I would use it for a few hours, and then it would sit for 2 weeks. And during those 2 weeks, something bad was happening. And then it just wouldn't post. VGA signal would be gone. That sort of thing. And what it eventually came down to is, as much as I like this thing, I couldn't reliably get it to post. And here, a few weeks ago, before I bought this Pi, it stopped posting at all. So it makes it to post somewhere and then it just hangs. I'm going to guess a BIOS chip has died, or something in the chipset is messed up. Again, there's a whole story on how it got here. I called it Wolf 359 for a reason. It had one hell of a journey. The long and the short of it is we had some issues with the carrier. The package kind of got vandalized, and out of it, I think the PC saw some things it wasn't intended to see, and as a result, by the time it arrived to me, it's probably not in the best shape. So, how my desk has changed as a result of this Pi is the Pi is taking over for the mini PC and doing coding things. I'm doing a recording here on it because it's funny. I don't know how many recordings I'm going to do from a Raspberry Pi. However, I have this trash can Mac here who's going to do all the basic desktop-y things here when I don't need a powerful system. It's a base model. I received it for free. And there'll be a separate video on the channel for that thing. But, you know, this is cool to me. The fact that I can sit here and do coding adventures and stuff on a Raspberry Pi, of all things. It's wild. As far as what I'm going to do with it, mostly coding adventures. That's what I bought it for, to manage my code repos. I might do some chatting online with it. Again, this thing has a 27 watt power supply. It pulls nothing. And I want to play with Linux on ARM a bit. So I have SD cards and images and whatnot. I burned OpenSUSE to an SD card. I'm burning Ubuntu to an SD card. And at some point I'll talk about Raspbian as well. And the things you can do with the Pi and the things you really can't do with the Pi. Longer term, I will use it to develop for other Pi5s that I will buy to do certain things in the house. Notably, I would like to have a Pi that is a TrueNAS backup server. I don't know how the logistics of that are going to work, but we'll see. And then I also have ideas for things like home automation, home assistant, being able to use it as a voice assistant, so on and so forth, and generally just having fun. I currently have a Proxmox server to have fun on for virtual machines and stuff, and this is going to be the other fun. So with that, I don't want to get too far into the weeds. I think this is pretty cool. I like this project, and I hope to see it on the channel more. And with that, I'm now going to go edit this video on the Pi. So this is the experience trying to video edit on a Raspberry Pi. I was a little overconfident in that. Here about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, where I tried to buy a Raz. Yeah, this isn't happening. Back to real hardware I go, right? I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope this video finds you well, and have a great rest of your day. Cheers.